You know that feeling when you sit down in front of a slot machine? The lights are kind of humming, the reels are just waiting, and there's this quiet promise in the air. Now, on the surface, it looks like a pretty simple game of chance, right? But what's really going on underneath is this powerful, invisible journey, one that has way more to do with emotion than it does with luck. So let's break that down. And that right there, that's really the heart of what we're digging into today. This isn't just about randomly pushing a button and hoping for the best. No, it's actually a very structured experience. It's a series of emotional chapters that pretty much every player goes through, whether they realize it or not. So let's pull back the curtain on this, because it's not nearly as random as you might think. What you're about to see is a very carefully designed journey, one that unfolds in these really distinct stages. And here's the thing that might surprise you. This journey doesn't actually begin with the desire to win a bunch of money. It starts with something way more subtle. It's about a player trying to find a connection, a feeling, with the machine itself. It all kicks off with these first two stages, what we'll call the spark and the dance. You can think of this as kind of the opening act, right? It's the initial, pretty low stakes phase where a player is really just getting a feel for the game. So that very first spin, it's not really about hitting a jackpot. It's more like a test. You'll hear players talk about feeling out a machine's personality or wondering if it's in a good mood. They're looking for some kind of sign, any little bit of feedback that says, hey, yeah, this is the one, stick around. It's this really instinctual search for a connection. And that leads us right into stage two, the dance. This is where you start to get in sync with the machine's rhythm, its tempo. You're watching to see how it flirts, how often does it tease a little win or a bonus? The whole thing gets framed as having a personality. A good machine feels like it's playing along with you, while a bad one just feels cold. And this little dance is what makes you decide if you're going to stay or move on. Okay, so after this initial dance, the whole experience shifts, and it shifts dramatically. We are now entering the phase where logic starts to take a back seat and pure, raw emotion starts to take over. And this is the question that really gets to the heart of this next stage. This is the tipping point, right? It's that moment where a casual little interaction turns into something way, way more compelling. And this is the hook. We're in stage three, the pull. And its number one tool is the near miss. See, your brain doesn't actually process this as a loss. It sees it as being so close. Your heart rate goes up, your focus gets sharp, and that little voice in your head gets louder. Oh, just one more spin. It's an incredibly powerful psychological doorway. Now, if the pull is the doorway, what's waiting on the other side is the main event. And believe me, this is no accident. Game developers spend millions, literally millions of dollars engineering the sounds, the lights, the timing, all to perfect this one single feeling, the absolute peak of the whole experience. This is stage four, the surge. It's the big win, the bonus round, the jackpot. And honestly, it doesn't even matter how much money it is. It's the sensation that counts. You get this massive rush of dopamine flooding your system, and for just those few seconds, you feel totally invincible. It's the emotional high that the entire game is built to deliver. But what happens after that incredible high? Well, inevitably, that surge has to fade. And this is where we enter the emotional come down, a really critical part of the cycle, where your whole motivation for playing starts to change. This timeline pretty much shows the path down from that peak. Once the high is gone, you enter stage five, the drift. Now, this is maybe the most dangerous part of the cycle, because you're not really playing for fun anymore, or even for a future win. You're playing to get a feeling back that's already gone. You're just chasing a memory. And finally, when the session is over, you hit stage six, the reflection. The machine's quiet, and you're just left there, replaying the whole thing in your head, the wins, the losses, all the what-ifs. But out of all those questions, there's one that really stands out, and it's the one that plants the seed for the next time. When can I feel that spark again? Your mind is already rewinding the tape, getting ready to start the whole cycle over. And that brings us to the big picture. When you actually put all these stages together, you start to see it, right? This isn't just a random series of events. It's a complete, powerful, and very intentionally designed loop. So here it is, the full emotional architecture. You go from that initial spark of curiosity to the dance of getting to know the machine, to the pull of the near miss, which leads to that incredible surge of a win.
Then comes the dangerous drift of chasing that feeling, and finally, the reflection that leads you right back to the beginning, looking for that spark all over again. It's a perfect, unending loop.
And when it comes down to it, this entire experience is engineered to completely bypass your rational mind. It's a world that's been carefully built for one reason and one reason only, to let pure feeling take the driver's seat.
Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Once you understand this hidden cycle that's at play, you have to ask yourself, are you really playing a game of chance, or are you interacting with a perfectly tuned emotional machine? It's something to think about.